Okay, we will call to order the Rolesville Board of Commissioners meeting. Hope everybody's doing well. The weather turned a little bit cooler, so that's very, very nice. So welcome everybody that's out here in attendance tonight. So we've got a full agenda, so we're going to get started pretty quickly here. We'll start with invocation, then we'll do the pledge, and then we've got a proclamations to do. Is the pastor? There he is, way in the back corner. Come on up. We got Pastor Josh Stewart from News Baptist Church. He's going to lead us in prayer. So if you all stand for that and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for this time we have. Oh, Lord, I ask you at this meeting, God, would you give wisdom? Would you give unity? Lord, would you bless? We thank you for this community you've given to us. And Lord, we thank you for Jesus, for his sacrifice on the cross for our sins. And Lord, bless us tonight. Lord, we thank you for the beautiful weather you've given to us, and may we continue to honor you with our lives. In Christ, and we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. To the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll start off with a proclamation. This is National Senior Citizens Day, and our senior citizen liaison, Michael Paul, will read that for us, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Proclamation of the Town of Rolesville, National Senior Citizens Day. Whereas older Americans have contributed immeasurably to the strength, vitality, and character of our nation through their wisdom, experience, and sacrifices. And whereas National Senior Citizens Day was established in 1988 by President Ronald Reagan to honor the achievements and ongoing contributions of our senior citizens and to raise awareness of the issues that affect their quality of life. And whereas today's seniors are active, engaged, and making significant contributions to their families, communities, and the economy, serving as volunteers, caregivers, mentors, and leaders. And whereas, as we celebrate the achievements of senior citizens, we also reaffirm our commitment to supporting their dignity, independence, and well-being through quality health care, accessible services, and community involvement. And whereas it is fitting to recognize and express our deepest gratitude to the senior citizens who have helped shape our communities and continue to enrich our lives. Now, therefore, Ronnie Curran, Mayor of Rolesville, hereby proclaims August 21st, 2025 as National Senior Citizens Day.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Next is consideration approval of the agenda. I think everybody has that in front of you. So I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Did you get that? I think April beat him. Yeah, it's my call. We got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. Motion is approved, so thank you very much. Now it's an opportunity for the public to be heard. So if anybody wants to speak, you got 3 minutes to speak. Now I do ask if you want to speak at one of the public hearings that's coming up on one of the projects or some of the text changes, you can do that later. But anybody want to just speak to the board, welcome. Just come on up. So it looks like Mr. Edges is the first one up there. So I'll recognize you for 3 minutes, Rick.
Yes, sir. Good evening. I want to start with thank you, and thank you. You got the erosion fence fixed over that, cross fit, and Wake Forest HVAC, and I appreciate that. It looks a lot better. I want to say something about the fire department. I know the unification is taking place, but 3 people, and look, that was a lot of volunteers. But Gary Barnes, whose wife is sitting over here tonight, Linda, Mike Young, and Rodney Privet. And my dad and I kind of had a front row seat since the flea market was directly in front of the fire department. So when the alarm went off, Gary Barnes came across from the church with his car. He could show NASCAR how to do a pit stop in a parking spot because he could slide right in there. We didn't have tight police back then, but you know, he could slide right in there. Didn't hardly have any police, I don't think. Rodney would come running across the road to get the next vehicle, and Mike Young had a truck with no tailgate and 2 dogs. The dogs would not get out of that truck while he was gone. They stayed in the truck. If it was hot, people would give them water, but that's just a fact of a little history of Rolesville. So I want to thank them and the entire fire department, because without the volunteers, even today, you never know what you're going to need, we're going to be up against. Now, you know, my dad would get upset if somebody complained about the fire department. Well, the response time might be a little off. My dad said, let me set you straight. He said, I'm sitting across the road here, and if I'm even in my office, I got a window and I'm looking straight at those doors. Response time was right on. It was great. So he wouldn't tolerate somebody complaining, and neither would I. Now I'm going to move forward, Police Chief, to the day we had an active shooter. Now my dad had a front row seat about the fire department, but I was sitting in the front row seat at Hardee's that morning. Now, we didn't know quite what was going on, but I can tell you there was 40 to 50 police cars. About every municipality in Wake County was there in numbers. They didn't send one car. You saw multiple cars. The sheriffs, the highway patrol, full strength. We could see something going on at McDonald's because we can see the price of gas per gallon from where we sit. So we could see the lights on the police cars. All of a sudden, we didn't know what, who, where, whenever, but the police came flying up the road, 401 to the stoplight there in front of Hardee's. They pulled down on the grass, I mean from here to the Rolesville sign from us, got out with the weapons drawn. Now, and they were lined up. We didn't know what was going on, where the shooter was, but we knew there had to be somewhere around the intersection. And that day, it appeared to be more traffic, more people than usual for some reason. And I'm going to tell you, when military, I was trained when you're shot at, you shoot back. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how we managed that day to get by and nobody was harmed or killed, because I saw the video where that guy was shooting kind of loosely at people or whatever, at the police, really, what he's shooting at the police. And, you know, it took a lot of training and a lot of restraint for them to have that split second. I mean, split second, not to fire with all the traffic and people. And normally you have people jogging, walking with dogs. You have a lot of activity. And so to the police department, you made me proud. And that's why I support y'all in other ways that I can, and I always will. So anytime I can help, I'll be glad to help. Now, you know, I'm just thrilled that I'm up here today, town manager. I'm starting with a thank you, and I'm going to end with a thank you. I've never done that. My history would tell me. Never. But I'm going to just say, closing, special thank you to the fire department. Very special thank you to our police department. And thank y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Edens. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. And also the two officers. Appreciate all you do. Malcolm Allen, Rolesville Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Malcolm Allen. I am been tasked with running the chamber in the interim. My team was brought on by the board to lead the charge in terms of business. I'm excited to work with you all. My purpose in coming here tonight was to get a waiver position for one of your ordinances. I talked with your city manager, and we're going to work alongside one another to get that scheduled for, I believe, your next meeting. But I wanted to introduce myself. I'm looking forward to working with you guys side by side to help grow the business portion of our community.
Thank you. One quick question. Do you guys have hours yet? Do you have any hours?
We do. Right now, we're running Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Yeah, and we're in there some Fridays. I reserved Fridays for development because we want to do some internal updating and maintenance. So we will add that Friday as we grow our volunteer base. We've already got a few volunteers that are looking forward to working with us, but we wanted to make sure that the schedule fit within our needs. But Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, someone's there answering the phone, and the doors are wide open.
Thank you, Mr.
I myself am there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as I'm using the other 2 days to kind of interface with some of the members of the business.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's all that's signed up for public comments. Not seeing anybody else. We got the consideration of the consent agenda before we even take a question on that. The two contract things we're going to, I've been requested by a couple of commissioners. We need to pull that. They didn't have time to review.
Correct.
So.
That one, it was transparency, a miscommunication. So what we want to do, we'll slate that for the next meeting, and we'll be providing that to you all in advance for you to read for the next meeting, and it won't be put on tonight. And so that will be
E and L.
7E and 7F.
Right.
Related to the construction manager at risk for the town campus.
So is any opposition or objection to that? No. Okay. All right. So, so I consider the approval agenda and any other changes that the board would like to make. I will entertain a motion.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
No, sir.
Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. Motion approved. Thank you, board. Appreciate that. Town board liaison reports. So we'll just start at this end with Linwood. And do you have anything?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My report is on behalf of the police department. I want to just call out a couple of things. We have National Night Out that will be happening in October 7th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. The location is still to be determined. And also coming up on August the 9th, it's going to be at the Chili King. We're going to have a opportunity for the community to come out and meet with our civil servants. It's a Conversations with Civil Servants, and that will be August 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Chili King on Main Street. Please come out. We are going to be sponsoring 50 hot dogs between the town as well as the police department. It's a good opportunity for us to not only thank them for their service, but also a great chance to get to know some of our fellow commissioners who will be available for that day. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I mentioned, and Linwood, you may not even heard about this yet because it's been kind of really fluid. We are really seriously about in the final stages of a 9/11 event. We're going to have a 9/11 event on 9/11 at 6 o'clock. Honor the police and honor the fire departments, and it'll be 6 o'clock in a ceremony. We haven't got the location nailed down yet for sure. Probably at either the elementary school on Main Street or maybe Rolesville Baptist Church, one of those two places probably. But we haven't nailed that down. Any other thing you've got? I just want everybody to think about, be on your radar screen, 9/11, 6 p.m., and it's going to be a pretty good little, I guess, honoring ceremony. So, and I don't even know if you heard about that, Lynn, because that just came up about a week ago, so we've been kind of working a little bit on that.
Thank you.
Paul, anything from Parks and Rec?
Yeah, they, let's see, the update for that, all-star teams represented Rolesville well. They had 3 teams this year, a 8U, a 10U, a 12U. They played during the weekend of July 11th, and they played in Wendell and Garner. We officially have a tree board. We'll have its first meeting on August 29th at 11 a.m. There will be a Golden Year Expo coming up on August 20th at Rolesville Baptist Church from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's 30 vendors that have already been confirmed. And the first Music at Millbridge event will be held on August 16th. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. How about April, planning
All
board?
right. Actually, our planning board is presenting tonight, so I will not take anything from wherever you are, Mike Ellenberger, back here. But I will mention that Meredith has transitioned to our senior planner, and so we welcome Michael as our interim planning director
Mhm.
for now.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. How about veterans? Anything, Dan?
Yes, sir. On August 7th is known as Purple Heart Day to honor our U.S. service members who were wounded or killed in action while serving in the military. Gratitude and honor is shown to our servicemen who have paid the ultimate price or endured battlefield injuries. The Wake Forest Purple Heart Foundation held its 16th annual Purple Heart Banquet on August 2nd. The guest speaker was Tony Dries. He is a Gulf War veteran, Purple Heart recipient, adaptive athlete. He skis on one leg, and nationally recognized speaker. His message of no lies, no excuses, and never quit is a powerful testament to the veterans' experience and a call to action for all who serve, or anyone. The Joel Fund, calling all North Carolina veterans artists to submit their artwork to the North Carolina Veterans Art Show. Together, the Joel Fund and the Heart to Hand veteran artist Bernadette Denota, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, will showcase original artwork from the North Carolina veterans at the Durham Art Guild Gallery at Golden Belt this coming November 18 through the 23rd for their 4th North Carolina Veterans Art Show. This is an opportunity for all veterans to participate, and the deadline is October 17th. And the information can be found on the Joel website, and Candace has the notes for that will be published. Also, on August 16th at 0830 hours, the Joel Fund will be hosting what is called Recon, Resource Connections for Service Members, Veterans, and Families. The topic is health and healthcare. Also, grab a cup of coffee and join the Joel Fund on Wednesday, August 27th at 0830 hours in their Wake Forest location. The American Legion Post 1. At a recent fellowship breakfast hosted by Master and retired Jerry Mantnam at the American Legion Raleigh Post 1 on 31 July, I had the honor of addressing a gathering dedicated to strengthening our veterans community. The event underscored our collective commitment to support our veterans, active duty service members, and their families. Engagements like this breakfast are crucial for fostering community bonds and advancing our policies that address the unique needs of our veteran population. And that will conclude my briefing, sir.
Thank you. Good presentation. And senior citizen, Michael Paul?
Not much to report. Got a few things in the works, but the one thing I will say, other than Happy Senior Citizens Day, is that the Senior Network is hosting their second annual charity golf tournament on September 11th at 9:30 a.m. at Heritage Golf Course. Space is limited. They're almost full, so if you want to play, sign up today.
What was
Thank
that
you,
date
Mr. Mayor.
again?
September 11th at
September
9:30 a.m.
Yeah, it's the same as Ben. So,
Correct.
yeah, we recall, because really, I think that's early in the day, so
It
we
is.
should be through with the golf tournament by mid-afternoon and.
Be no
plenty of
problem to
time.
get to both. That's right.
Yep. So we got two things that day.
That's right.
9/11 event and golf tournament. Great, thank you. Okay, we will look at some communications from the town staff. We'll start with the planning director that April already keyed up. Mike, if you would, interim planning director, you got a little update for us?
Yes, sir. Let me get my screen. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. First, I'd like to say how honored and pleased I am to be here in my newer capacity of the interim planning director. I will admit I'm not the presenter that Meredith is, but I do hope to do well enough tonight and hopefully improve with more time before you. So thank you again. This will be a brief presentation on what's been going on in the planning department. A lot of this information was in the FYI that you received at the July work session. I can certainly hit on some other higher points as we get to the bottom of this and we talk about the legislative applications that are in the queue. We have some heavy permitting information here, some of the residential permitting activity, which again is the bulk of the permitting activity for the town. Between January and May, we processed 124 single-family detached dwelling permits and 90 attached or townhome permits. The bar graph there kind of gives us a bit of an example of the year-over-year. We're not at the 2024 level yet, but we do feel that that's going to pick up and by end of year be much more aligned with 2024. Here, the top one in green, that is the attached permits there. And again, not quite the 2024 trend, but we have a lot more lots recorded for townhomes. If you've looked and seen the Walbrook Townhome project, all of those will be done probably by October or November, and that's 144 townhomes that will get CO'd and be online. So we do believe all of this activity will eventually catch up for the year. The Point subdivision, south of the bypass along East Young and Rolesville Road, is the leading subdivision at this time with permit activity amongst these. Let's see, they did 64 just during the month of May. So that one has really taken off as Ashton Woods and Starlight Homes are permitting homes down there. Another graph for the single-family detached and attached. So this is the combined volume here. The Preserve at Jones Dairy area, there's Preserve at Jones Dairy South, Prestley, and then the Meadows at Jones Dairy. Those projects are leading in the permitting arena as well. And then we did let's see, it was a 5-year average, and kind of not surprising, the months of March, April, and June are those highest activity months as the building season really kicks off and hits momentum there. Text amendments, there are 3 currently submitted by applicants and are in the various stages of review. The board has seen one of them come so far. That was the one for vehicle minor use, or vehicle minor service use. There's one on tonight's agenda for multifamily building transparency. And then there's another for the self-storage use and for development agreements in mixed-use districts that will be coming tentatively to your September meeting. This picture here is an alignment of the 5 in review rezoning applications. There's one, of course, on your agenda tonight, so that is not listed here. That was in your FYI last month. No particular order to these. It's not necessarily the way that they'll reach you, but there's one called Waite Avenue. It's 5 tracts, 102 acres up on Waite Avenue at Everett Road. They are looking to go to a neighborhood center district, primarily single-family and attached homes with a commercial center. A project called Walbrook Flats, which would be not too far from here. The former Arden site project, that was 160 residential beds for a kind of a residential life care facility. That property is now under a new rezoning by the developers of Walbrook. 625 Everett Road is a property along Everett Road, obviously just north of Jones Dairy Road. It's kind of an outlier property that has not been developed while a lot of land around that has. We universally in the office call that the C property because it's shaped like a C, and it goes back to the UDO's R and PUD zoning heritage of that whole area. So that's developer is seeking to go to a residential high zoning district for development of townhomes. There's a project called Opal at Main. This is on the same property that came through the board several years ago. It was known as Broughton Townhomes at that point in time. I believe they've added an additional lot that brings the acreage up just a slight bit, but it's essentially a similar project, townhomes in the 60 range there. And then another project for a property that's been already before the board more recently than that property. This one's termed Scarborough Village, but is the property along Main Street near School Street, immediately behind the planning department office, as it has been. This plan is for townhomes, whereas the previous rezoning attempt was for multifamily apartments in a mixed-use scheme under the neighborhood center zoning, where they were going to do some first-floor commercial. They are asking for a portion of GC, and that is where that stone house that sits along Main Street would be. They would tee that property up for redevelopment by someone else under a GC zoning district. So the plan does not include any development of commercial, just the rezoning of the front parcel.
You said that one was townhomes,
And that is for townhomes, yes.
and the one above it at the Opal at
Opal at Main is also for townhomes, yes, ma'am. And they're both in that 60-unit range.
So is the plan to get the traffic off of Perry Street?
The
The
plan
new
so
plan, I
far
guess the new
shows-
plan, because that's one of the issues with the other plan, they were using Perry Street.
The plan continues to show the CTP roadway coming from the south, which is the town campus property, through that property and meeting up with Main Street. I do believe they're showing the same location, basically taking over existing Perry Street at the point of connection with Main Street. Correct. Let me see. The affordable housing plan, it did go to the planning board just last week, and the board has made a recommendation. And that plan's next step is to come before the board for a legislative hearing on September 2nd. That is the current tentative schedule. The comprehensive plan, just last night in this room, had another public outreach, open house type meeting, where the developer, or the consultants were here. That was between 3 and 6 p.m. So open houses were held on June 24th, and then again last night, August 4th, for that. Tentative schedule is to take the plan to the planning board on August 25th, so just in a few weeks here, and then that would make its way to the town board on October 7th under that schedule for the legislative hearing and consideration. I've got a picture of the future land use. This is the exhibit that the consultants used at the meeting, calling out these kind of general land use areas at some of the key areas, basically nodes and intersections. Areas like business innovation corridors, commercial centers along Main Street, some of our farther out areas like the intersection of Waite and Everett Road, where I just mentioned there's a rezoning, calling that a commercial center. So again, setting out general land uses, but also by the color coding, kind of recognizing the development patterns that the town has. So orange would be those medium to lower density residential areas. The greens are undeveloped and or on the east side of our town, of course, the Little River watershed area, et cetera. Community facilities like the high school and other schools and church locations and things like that in the blue. So it is recognizing existing land use, but those land uses are intended to be staying, and so this is the future land use map, though, showing what could happen, and it's really focused on corridors and nodes or intersections of major roadways. That really concludes my presentation. I could show you some slides from the comprehensive plan document, but they're just kind of a lot of words and a lot of digestion there. So if there's any questions, I could take those. This is kind of a two-part presentation. Economic development is going to follow, and the two departments and topics we often overlap very much. So Mr. McFarland may be mentioning some things that I mentioned here and vice versa. So certainly if there's questions at the end, he and I can both maybe field them together.
Can we get a copy of that particular slide?
This presentation, absolutely.
Well, then, okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Mike. Appreciate it a lot. All right, we got the next Michael McFarland, Economic Development Director, here tonight with his great-looking tan he has. So.
Recently back from the beach last week, so that was fun. Down on the coast in Ocean Isle, so that was relaxing. A great time with the family. So.
Good. Glad you could have some time off there.
Just a couple of topics to touch upon tonight. Good evening, Mayor and Town Board. First, just kind of in the context of our desire for more commercial development to balance out the residential in terms of our tax base. Just wanted to highlight some of the larger projects currently in town and showing that commercial square footage that's coming. So that new commercial square footage you can see, just considering Cobblestone, Walbrook, the facility, the former Pine Glow building, and then Jones Dairy Storage. comes to about 459,000 square feet of new commercial. So again, it's hard to move that needle. We've talked a lot about our tax base being the, the 90 to 92% residential tax base to the 10 or 8% commercial. And even with this, as we keep rising and bringing more commercial, the houses just keep coming too. So you just kind of, it's hard to move that needle. But I think ultimately we want to kind of get that to a 75-25, even 80-20 would be good for us. So just for long-term sustainability. But just wanted to kind of point out, this is a good sign. A lot of commercial square footage coming. A few more projects in the pipeline as well. These are just some smaller projects. A single coffee shop here or there, a car wash in different stages of development. So you can see some of these as well, and I can answer any questions. And as Michael said, he's available to answer questions on these as well. But all of these projects can be found on our website, on that active projects page on our website, for anybody interested in more information on those.
So, Michael, how many of them are kind of held up on, I know the Bullet Group is on hold for environmental problem, right? Is that still
Which one?
the first one?
Yep, the Bullard Group, I'd have to check in, and Michael might know more. They were, that's the property at the corner of Granite Falls Boulevard, the vacant property at kind of kitty corner from the SecU Bank at Granite Falls and Rogers, where they were working with Wake County. They have the retention pond that's there right now, the existing one, and so they were working around that a little bit. And as far as I know, they're sort of ready to go. I don't know, Michael, if you know anything more on.
That one has 2 restaurants involved.
Yeah, so that's a nice development. 2 restaurants that kind of bookend some retail space in between. One of the restaurants will have a drive-through facility. So, Michael, can maybe add more.
I believe that we've had the pre-construction meeting where we meet with their GC and set the things in tone, but it might have been a little while ago. I can double check that and certainly share that out with the manager to tell the board that status. The town generally does not have any control of the timing of when they break ground and move forward, obviously, but I can certainly let you know if all of those necessary steps that we're aware of and participate in would be completed. Next step is for them to show up.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
So, may I have a question?
Oh,
Ask a
yep.
question? So the Tidal Wave Car Wash, so are there going to be 2 car washes on Main Street?
Yes, as of now, there'll be, there's a Hall of Fame car wash.
That's the one. Okay.
That's across the street, on the other side of the street, in the same kind of area. And then this Tidal Wave Car Wash still scheduled to come.
Yeah.
Yes, there's.
Again, my memory is that we did have the pre-construction meeting with that group, but it was several months ago. Again, just kind of sitting there, they're waiting to break ground for whatever reasons. I'm not aware of what those reasons are. I don't know if it's per se a piece of utility that's not waiting. They might be waiting for the Main Street project to hit some critical mass where they could then start their project. Not that that's holding them back. Yeah, I just don't know. So again, I can look into these projects and give the board a better time frame if I can find anything.
Thanks, Michael.
Which one is 302? Is that the coffee? Is that the daycare?
The one that the building's being built, the coffee is 306.
Okay.
So if you're looking at Sonic, to the left is the coffee shop. That'll be Scooter's Coffee. To the right of Sonic is that 302 South Main.
And that's the daycare.
The daycare is being proposed.
So is that still?
Yep, it's still on. I mean, I think it's
Ditto to my last 2 entries. I believe we've had the pre-construction meetings, or I've at least tried to set them up, but it has been several months of no forward movement.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
All right, yeah, I'll keep going on here. Just in regards to downtown development efforts, staff is working to host a joint meeting, hopefully soon, between the town board, the planning board, and the Downtown Development Association. This would be kind of, hopefully like a retreat or just a work session. I think the purpose being is to discuss a shared vision for the downtown area. I think there's an interest in coming to consensus on what the town would like to see on Main Street. So when we hear from businesses that want to locate, especially in our downtown area and along our major commercial corridors, just ensuring that all these groups, all of us are kind of speaking that same voice and all saying the same thing and having that shared vision, especially when we talk to businesses and future developers. So, and then in addition, without getting into too many details, some ideas that we've discussed so far, just also involving downtown, is a public parking idea that we've had previous conversations with the board about along near the Young Street and Main Street intersection, and then also a downtown overlay district to kind of promote future development that results in that true walkable downtown that we're all seeking. So just more to come on all that, and we'll be in touch on that joint meeting. Some of you might recall before I arrived here, this is kind of a visual of a market analysis or a market guide that was done in 2017. I'd like to have it updated. I think we've changed a lot since 2017. So this kind of end product is something that I'll be working with the group Retail Strategies to have this created over the next few months. And this is something myself, the Chamber, the RDDA, we can all use as we market the town and as we're talking with prospective businesses and developers to kind of show everybody what's attractive about Rolesville. So just wanted to mention that, and I'll have that to share. Hopefully, that's kind of like a poster size market guide that I'll be able to provide to everyone too. And then just wanted to touch upon, I attended a partners lunch recently with the other municipalities and Wake County Economic Development, and they shared some trends in the real estate requests from companies seeking to locate in Wake County. So this was very interesting, and I just wanted to briefly highlight some takeaways as we think about reserving land. Michael mentioned the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, but just some things to think about as we think about reserving land for future commercial development and attracting larger companies. A lot of information here. I know basically kind of some takeaways that I had were, Wake County received 159 total project requests in 2024. 50% of those projects are interested. So these are companies that say, hey, I want to locate in North Carolina, and then furthermore say, I want to come to Wake County. And 50% of those projects are interested in existing buildings already. So they don't want vacant land, they need a building, and they give those specifications. They say, I need 100,000 square feet, I need ceiling heights at 32 feet, and a bunch of different other things. Maybe they need access to railroad or a port and things like that. So, so this kind of just gives us an idea of what these companies are looking for. 79% of the projects are interested in existing buildings and land sites, and then 50% of the projects are interested in just the land sites. But you can kind of see that there, how that's broken down. And then of the existing building requests, of the 126 projects interested in existing buildings, 57% here, as you can see in 2024, were interested in industrial buildings, 8% were interested in office buildings, and 35% were interested in flex buildings. So that's kind of a combination of office, light industrial. And on average, companies are interested in about 67,000 to 111,000 square feet of space. And that trend seems to be on average, the trend seems to be that on average companies are starting to look for less space overall than in previous years. Here's kind of some numbers on the land requests. So from those requests interested in just land only, on average companies are interested in approximately 33 to 50 acres. And that's similar to the previous year. So again, thinking about like when a company comes here, we don't have to have a 200 acre or 300 acre site per se. If many of these companies or larger corporations just need about 33 or 50 acres. And then again, having utilities at this site are more critical than ever. This gets to having a prepared site. Vacant land is just vacant land. These companies and these developers and site selectors want to see that utilities are already there, see that the site's prepared at that level of a shovel ready, almost pad ready.
Michael, Got a question for you, sir.
Yeah.
Has any of our land been identified to where the industrial companies could come here?
We have very little land already zoned industrial. So that would be one thing that we would consider doing maybe when we look at our future land use map. And that's part of the comprehensive plan discussion. I think we've identified some areas, if we could bring that back up, but I think there's some areas for mixed-use development where office, medical office, residential together has been identified. We can always fit some industrial too, you know, on a parcel where you're saying, well, we'd like a little bit of residential over here, a little bit of flex over here, but then let's reserve kind of this bubble of 20, 30 acres for industrial. So it's possible, it's just kind of, you know, but right now I would say we don't have what they would call, you know, product in our toolbox of a, you know, already zoned industrial land that we're marketing actively to industrial developers.
So this would be pure industrial? I mean, it wouldn't be like, I mean, we was talking about that, you know, high-tech thing at one time.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be purely industrial. And industrial nowadays could be, you know, very light industrial. It's not a factory with smoke coming out of the top. It's you know, nice looking building, a lot of landscaping, flex space. And I think some of these trends kind of show that, you know, companies that maybe wanted or needed 100,000 or 200,000 square feet now are only needing 50,000 square feet, or that once wanted 100 or 200,000 acres now only want the 30 or 50 acres. So things are getting smaller. People are able, you know, companies are able to do things in a smaller space.
Yeah, I just don't, you know, I don't think we have the capability to handle a big industrial where you have 18-wheelers coming in
Right.
on our streets all the time.
And if that's not part of the vision of Rolesville, that's fine. And I think I see it more as a piece, you know, of office or flex within a larger development where you have multiple uses.
Yeah, flex is a name.
Yeah, flex space, mixed use, and things like that. So
That's good, because when people hear industrial, I think, you know, they think about an industry.
right, exactly. Yep.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, but
That's
I
what
would
it
think of
does,
a smaller
yeah.
scale, because
Yeah.
our traffic already now with
Yep.
trucks is an issue. But what metrics are we using to go and get these companies interested in coming to Rolesville and partnering with us?
yeah, I think the first step is to have something to market. You know, and one of the big steps is just having this comprehensive plan finished, because then that's something that the board's approved and says, okay, here's our vision. Here's where we want to see mixed use, or here's where we want to see residential, and things like that. Here's where we want to see a corporate park, or an outdoor shopping center, in retail and restaurants and things like that. So you start to do that, you set that vision, and then that allows me also to go out when there's interest and say, well, we have this parcel that's available. Ultimately, I think towns do invest, just like we invest in purchasing land for parks and recreation or for a future town hall. Towns look at purchasing land for economic development. And I think we did that. The town had the foresight to buy that property up where Cobblestone is now. And then that allows the town really to have more control about what they want to see on land. You know, we have the 6.5 acres behind us here. So that allows, you know, that gives the town more control over what we would like to see based on the town's vision. So that's another step where you try to purchase or control the land and start to set the vision and work with partners on what we would like to see.
So will the comprehensive land use plan, is that going to develop, I mean, to answer his question more directly, is in that comprehensive land use plan, there will be some places identified as this light industrial?
Yeah, I believe so, whether that'll be mixed use, light industrial, office, flex. I believe it is kind of, there's some of that detail in there under those different color codes, if we want to bring back in. Yeah, it's really good. Does it help to bring up that future land use map up again?
Yeah, you
The
could-
one Mike had up earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you turn
on.
Thanks, Mike.
As I look across it, it's really this business and innovation corridor
Mm-hmm.
there at the 401 bypass and Old South Main Street split.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Property,
gateway,
a lot is that property, and south there, again, this is where Fowler Road would eventually come back around when and if fulfilled all the way from Young, Rolesville Road, et cetera. So that pinkish area there is what I see as on this version of the future land use map, which is through just the iterations of the consultants and the input so far gathered. That large area there would be that prime area, which is not to say that smaller sites might be, found around town, but as a global big picture, that's where I'm seeing anything akin to industrial and or, heavier commercial, even office park and all that. The others are more mixed-use residential, community commercial, shopping centers, lifestyle centers, things of that nature, but more so on the neighborhood scale, not the regional scale.
You said the dark green or the green was the watershed?
This light color green over here, this
Yes.
is all the watershed. This is the farm, for instance, to orient you there. So all of this light pale green is the watershed area.
And we cannot use the watershed for commercial.
Correct, those uses are restricted.
And how do we unrestrict them?
Topic for another evening,
That's a legitimate question.
yes, I cannot get into that.
Okay.
It's a big issue.
We need to discuss it.
Well, yeah.
It involves more than just the town.
Oh, I absolutely understand that, but we don't have time to discuss it. But I definitely just curious. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, I'll just poke around the map here a little bit more again. Commercial centers in the vicinity of that's Century Farm, this Quarry Road, et cetera. So that kind of that area there, the high school. Yeah. So as we poke around, it looks like business and innovation corridor centered around that node there. That's what's being called out so far.
Yeah, and we've been calling that kind of Gateway 401, that gateway in from, you drive in from Raleigh, it's your introduction into Rolesville. We do want to do something special and unique there, but at the same time, so maybe some entertainment and retail and shopping, but also an opportunity for somewhat of a business park in some parts of it.
So what does those two circles over here to the right mean? The red circle,
Oh, yeah, that's it.
the dotted, yeah, that.
I'd have to check the legend. I apologize. Oh, yep, sorry. Areas of commercial consideration within or adjoining the Little River watershed. So clearly those areas are in the Little River watershed. If overarching rules would change, those would be ideal areas. I think they are intersections there between some of the state roads.
I think some of the properties might be half in the watershed already or something, where it looks like.
That's Fowler at Mitchell Mill.
Yeah.
That one right there, for instance.
That's large.
Yeah, I think some of that map is wrong. If the green is watershed, then all that's not watershed.
No, I think that
Because
line.
Fowler Road and Mitchell Mills Crossing, some of that is not in the watershed.
Right. It kind of follows that black dotted line.
Yeah, I think that may represent not in ETJ,
Or unincorporated or ETJ.
Yeah.
Yes, I apologize.
because you got it all over the map.
ETJ or the watershed boundary layer is somewhat on this map, but not deliberately on this map. You do know it indicates this map.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for blowing it up.
Absolutely.
Because one of those circles is Donnie Willis' property that I know is not in the watershed, and it's not identified. But I guess it has to be in our ETJ to put it on our map. Is that right, Dave?
We can put anything on our map, but the area for which we have the authority to regulate something is going to be limited to the areas that are already in the ETJ.
Right.
but many comp plans go broader than that because future growth could be necessary to be considered in those settings when folks request development proposals on areas that just weren't in the ETJ quite yet. We see that from time to time.
It looks like we limited it to what's in our UTJ, basically.
So again, just ultimately, this information is helpful because we know what these industries and larger companies are looking for. We can begin to identify and prepare land for future development. So it's kind of just good to know what the requests are. And then switching over to communications and community engagement. Candace here serving tonight as the town clerk. Continues to spread the word about community-wide activities and events through our news blast and on social media. She had mentioned that in the last 90 days or so, Facebook views have increased about 77%. Instagram is up 86%. So a lot of our viewership, just in general, as we grow, is continuing to increase. And as Candace continues to just spread the word about stuff and all the great things that are happening in Rolesville. In addition to our regular news blast that goes out, she helped launch a new kind of Parks and Rec news blast. So now we have a kind of town news blast, but then also a special Parks and Rec news blast because they got a lot of stuff going on just in their department anyway. The number of media inquiries continue to come in and increase, and so she's doing a great job with all of that.
Goes on increasing those numbers. Good for
Absolutely.
you.
Have we considered a text,
Thank you for
I think I
creating that.
shared this with the town manager, but have we considered a text message sort of in communication for our announcements and/or alerts that are happening in the town?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know where that is. I don't know if the town manager wants to.
So we are working with, well, our communications team is working with Wake County to get access to that mass communication software to allow us to send out text messages for notifications in situations like shootings, active weather alerts, and things of that nature. So yeah, Wake County for the emergency ones, and then we're looking over the next year, going into next year, what it looks like for us to do a more direct, more informal communication with the community. And so that would be the next step in that.
Thank you.
Any
all I
other
had.
questions? Anything else, Michael?
Nope, that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael.
Appreciate that. All right. Now we'll get into some good stuff here. First is our community group funding application selection, and Commissioner Paul Vilga and Mayor Pro Tem April Sneed has been working on that. So I think, do you have a recommendation? Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Paul.
Yep, so we have it's community group funding applicant selection. We had several applicants put in for funding. The funding to go towards different aspects in Rolesville that will help Rolesville residents. We have $12,800 that is set aside this year for that. And the ones we have listed are Tri-Area Ministry. They're food distribution to food insecure families. They currently feed 220 families from Rolesville. We'd like to recommend $2,500 to them. The Northeast Wake Backpack Buddies, they work to give out weekend power pack meal bags, and they distributed 4,464 meal bags to Rolesville area school children. We'd like to recommend $4,975 to them. Thorn to Rose focuses on mental health for Rolesville youth. We would like to recommend $1,000 to them. Noose River Hawks Conservationists, they're a local chapter of the NCFW. They work closely with our Parks and Rec Division, and they're looking to provide native plant installation by their volunteer group. We'd like to recommend $2,325 for them. And finally, we have the Disabled American Veterans. They help with hosting 2 veteran information sessions in Rolesville, and we would like to recommend $2,000 to their cause.
Any questions from the board? Are you presenting that as a motion?
Yes.
Okay, we're presenting that as a motion from the committee, so is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Motion and second. Now we can discuss it. Anybody wants to ask any questions or discuss this?
I do have a question for Dave. I am a member of the DAV. How does that work? But I don't benefit from any of what we do.
My guess is that the easiest and safest way would be to break it into 2 motions and recuse yourself from voting on that one item.
I think so too. Just want to make sure I'm too small to go to jail.
So is that what you prefer?
Yes, sir, I
Is
do.
to break them into two motions?
Yes, sir. I want to make sure I'm legally.
But which ones you need to be excluded from?
The DAV.
So I'll revise it to all of them except for DAV as a
Okay.
motion.
And you still second it? All right, good. Anything, anybody else has anything? Yeah, you got
Yeah, so my wife is on the board of Backpack Buddies, so I'm not, but she is, so.
I don't think there's any direct business or familiar or financial connection that you would have with regard to that, unless you know that I'm wrong.
You are not wrong.
Okay, I think you're fine.
Thank you.
All right, so you good?
Full disclosure, but yes, I'm perfectly fine.
What about you, Lynn? What you got?
Part of the ball, Mayor.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do we have any other discussion? Sound like making a motion on everything?
Everything
but-
except DAV. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Not hearing any? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? So it sounds like the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. Motion approved. And then you need to do
Yeah,
a
the second motion will be for DAV to receive $2,000.
Okay. Is there a second for that one?
Second.
Got a motion second. Any other discussion? And you will
Recuse myself.
You won't do this one. So, got a motion second, no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing, the ayes have it. So, thank you very much. Both passed. Appreciate you and April's work on that, Paul.
Yep.
That's a good
Thanks,
job.
April.
I think they're all for good causes and therefore, really benefiting Rolesville, so I really appreciate that. Next item is actually we get into a legislative hearing. So we got one for REZ 24-04, which is 6520 Fowler Road and 6521 Mitchell Mill Road. And Michael, I think you're up. You're going to start that off. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing. And if you would give us a staff report, Michael, on that.
Before I make a mistake here, if the board has had the practice in the past of taking the annexation and the 2 legislative hearings for the same property at one time, to do that in a single legislative hearing, where it's an annexation and a rezoning, and then 2 separate votes.
Yeah, that's what we'll do, because I imagine if the first one don't pass, they're not going to want to do the second one. More likely.
Correct, exactly right.
So, yeah, so that's why you presented it, so that's the way we're going to do it.
Presentation is built for that. So technically, these are items 11B and 11C on your agenda, REZ 2404 and ANX 2501 for the properties on Fowler and Mitchell Mill Roads. The rezoning request is for 45.48 acres to change the zoning and annex the property from Wake County's jurisdiction, where it is zoned the R30 zoning district, which is essentially 30,000 square foot single-family lots as the basic permitted use, to the LDO's residential high conditional zoning district. So by conditional zoning, that means this project comes with a set of proposed conditions of approval for the board to consider and a concept drawing of the general layout, design, et cetera, some level of high details of what the property would look like and developed as. Just a quick rundown of the conditions of approval, which are attached in the packet to the memo. Conformance with this general layout that you see on the screen here. North is more so plan or page left, so this is turned 90 degrees to the left, basically. There's a list of prohibited uses, basically selectively allowing single-family detached uses here, which is what the applicant's proposing. A maximum of 100 of those single-family detached dwellings in the RH district. Some level of architectural standards about the buildings, which are residential homes, commitment to develop a pollinator garden, and then a small package of community amenities, including a condition that gives the town at a future date the option to have deeded to them a approximately 0.8 acre site for parkland. So that would become town parkland if the town so chooses to select that. And that type of action would not really need to be done until about the time of final subdivision plat recordation. So should this property get zoning, it would go through preliminary subdivision construction drawing, physical construction of the infrastructure, et cetera. So we're talking 2 to 3 years from now, potentially, the town could make that decision whether it wished to take on a piece of land here as a public park. Otherwise, it would revert to an HOA-maintained open space and/or parkland. Looking at the future land use plan for considerations of how this request for zoning fits into the town's overall plan, this area is really far out, a bit of the planning area. Let me see if I can get my cursor. I can't get the cursor. Wrong way. It is, of course, on Fowler Road and Mitchell Mill Road. It spans between the two. And that area is all called out as medium-density residential. So it's that entire area east of Mitchell Mill Road, south of the Rolesville High School, which is the blue area there. So that entire area is identified as medium-density residential, which carries forth the prescribed density of between 3 and 5 single-family dwelling units per acre. The traffic impact analysis was performed for this project, and this evening, I should have introduced him at the beginning, Matthew Peach from Stantec is here. He is one of the 2 on-call consultants that the town uses to perform traffic impact analysis for rezoning applications that come before the board. This project triggered the requirement for the TIA, so that was done. And some good news, the NCDOT provided their letter of review just this afternoon, and Matthew is here to prepare to speak to you about that should you have any questions about the impact. The total trips were calculated at being just over 1,000, which is very typical. 100 lots, it's about 10 units or 10 trips per day per dwelling unit for such a residential use. There are recommended improvements along Rolesville Road at Mitchell Mill, Fowler, at their driveway entrance, which you see on the plan left there, and then their Mitchell Mill access point at driveway B, which is the far right, actually just underneath that text box there. The consistency of this with the comprehensive plan is that the single-family detached housing types fits well within the medium-density residential land use. The proposed density, I believe it's at 2.2 dwelling units per acre, so that's actually below the prescribed density for medium-density residential, which again was 3 to 5. The applicant can make some explanations as to why that yield is what this property is offering them. The proposed vehicle circulation does allow for 2 points of access at the far edges of this, obviously, the north and the south entry there, kind of logical places. So trip distribution would and could be almost equal should people wish to go in either direction. Really, if you were going destinations north, you would probably go to Fowler. If you were going to destinations south or west, you would go to Mitchell Mill. The proposed pedestrian network and connectivity is being provided. They are providing a public greenway connection to the Broadmoor subdivision, which lies due west of them. So this will provide residents in this neighborhood access to that subdivision's greenway and sidewalk, et cetera, network, and vice versa. The planning board heard this presentation about 6 weeks ago, and they made a recommendation of approval to the board 4 to 1. Staff is recommending approval for this rezoning as it does meet all the consistency statements and intentions of the future land use plan of the comprehensive plan, while noting it is actually below density as prescribed. So the applicant is also here, representative for them as well, and I believe they'd like to do a presentation, but if you would like to hear from Matthew about the traffic first, you you can do that, or kind of wait till the two presentations are completed.
Yeah, I think our protocol is if he's representing the town, we'd like to hear him as part of your
Very well.
brief report, I guess, staff report.
Good evening. My name is Matt Peach. I'm with Stantec Consulting Services, 801 Jones Franklin Road, Raleigh, North Carolina. Very happy to be in front of you again this evening. So this corridor, this area has been studied pretty extensively over the years. I will say that this land use is relatively low compared to some of the other developments along the corridor in terms of lot count. You've got some pretty hefty residential developments kind of further north on the corridor, so this one is relatively small compared to some of the others. We went through the normal process of the study with both town staff input as well as NCDOT input. We did make some recommendations for improvements, and literally just a few hours ago, as Michael said, we got the results of NCDOT's review. What resulted there was adding a left turn lane on Mitchell Mill Road at Rolesville Road. The Department of Transportation also recommended restriping the westbound approach. I know I don't have an exhibit to this, so I apologize. I'll just do my best to speak to it. The Department of Transportation did recommend restriping the westbound approach to provide an exclusive left turn lane and then a shared through right. Currently, the way that approach works is you have a shared through and left, and then you have that channelized swooping right turn to go north towards the high school. So they're recommending restriping that to make it more consistent with the other approach. The department also recommended a left turn lane into the driveway at Mitchell Mill Road, but nowhere along the other length of the corridor for Rolesville Road and Young Street are they recommending any improvements. As you know, there's a lot of other developments along the corridor that are making pretty extensive improvements to each of those intersections, and I think once it's all said and done, it'll be a really nice and well built out kind of road for you all. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Inside,
Questions from the board?
yes, sir. Probably one with possible more construction going in that area. When do you think the DOT will warn a traffic light for the high school?
For the high school specifically, that is
a possibility.
That's a great question. I believe
Like
the southern driveway to the high school lines up across from the point. I believe that was a condition for the point, if warranted, to construct that signal. The question of when depends on exactly how quickly the point is going to be built out.
Yeah, I saw the plan for like 2028, but I was just saying, could it be done earlier just to be proactive?
Traffic around schools, especially large high schools like Rolesville High School, is a very hot button issue. I could definitely see that being a point of emphasis for the department, but I can't speak to exactly what they would do. Just in my professional opinion, it depends on how quickly the point builds out, and especially the units close to that driveway build out, because as you know, there's multiple driveways for the point.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I like this project. I think it fits well. It complements with the Broadmoor. And this issue isn't directly tied to them, but at what point are we going to get a 4-lane road on Rolesville Road? Because everything we're building there, the traffic, I mean, you see the analysis, we got a slew of E's and F's on there with 3 and 4 minute delays, and that's just the compilation of all the associated traffic from the 7 or 8 subdivisions that we're building out there. And when is DOT going to say, yeah, we need to expand this to a 4-lane road?
That's a great question. Right now, that road in the town's transportation plan is a 3-lane section. Of course, when you're talking about the level of service, you're exactly right. Like the morning, you're seeing a lot of D's, E's, F's, a lot of heavy traffic. A lot of that is associated with the high school. So we actually see much better operations in the afternoon between 4 and 6 p.m. than we do kind of in the morning, since the high school kind of drives traffic in the morning along that corridor so heavily. In terms of the Department of Transportation planning a project for the road, I don't believe there's any intent right now, but that's certainly something that could be advocated for in the future. That also might, one thing to consider in that regard might be a change to the town's transportation plan and also coordination with the capital area MPO, just to make sure that all of the organizations are kind of working from the same sheet of music.
Thank you, Matt.
Absolutely.
Other questions, especially about the TIA? You can answer any questions they have about the TIA, right? So, you guys had a chance? Yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody good? Thanks for the staff report on that.
Thank you all.
We may call you back.
That's quite all right.
Yeah. Mike?
All right, the applicant representative will come on up and introduce himself, and I will switch.
Okay. Welcome. If you would, state your name, address for the record, and the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Collier Marsh with Parker Poe at 301 Fayetteville Street. Here on behalf of the applicant, I have Bill Harrell with Hopper Communities with me, as well as Robin McAdoo with TMTLA Associates, our design team for this project. Here to answer any questions you may have. Staff did a great job of going through the details of this project, and I'll just hit a couple of notes. This is a combined presentation for the rezoning and the annexation. But again, we've got about a 45-acre site here, currently in Wake County. So we're looking at the future land use map as well, trying to figure out how in the future plans this project may fit with what that showed. But I think it showed we were in Wake County. However, I do think that it's probably consistent with what the town's view would be in the updated future land use map, as we'll get to here soon. We've got access on both Fowler Road and Mitchell Mill Road. An important detail of this project that I think helps to show the overall vision of this area is that it's immediately adjacent to the previously approved Woodleaf, now Broadmoor project. And so that set a development pattern for the immediate area. And I think this complements it in a good way, as we'll explain. So future land use map here is medium density residential. If you all can still see mine, Michael, I think I'm getting interrupted here. But anyway, medium density residential calls for predominantly single family homes. There are instances where it would support greater density. Some applicants ask for townhomes or even apartments. And density overall is envisioned to be 3 to 5 units per acre within this designation. But we're asking for something that doesn't maximize all the potential density you can get on this site. We're proposing single family homes only with this project at an overall density of 2.2 units per acre. So within our zoning conditions and within our concept plan, that is a condition that says there's a max of 100 homes. We're probably not going to get that 100 homes, so the density is probably going to be actually below 2.2 units per acre, but that is the cap for this site. We've got 7 zoning conditions offered, and they're what you'd expect for a single-family development to ensure it's have a high quality and compatible with the surrounding area. And then open space is a defining feature here. A third of the site is some form of open space with a public greenway connection and a added since planning board commitment to dedicate a section of the property as public park should the town wish to utilize it as public park. And that would be actually just at the town's choosing at a later stage. Actually, before I jump forward, looking at the concept plan here, it is a commitment of the rezoning, but an interesting thing about this site and just the width and the dimensions is that it kind of dictates how the property could be developed in the first place, because in order to have appropriate turning radii, it really set the street networks for us. And so when we saw that, rather than seek to pack in a more narrow homes, you'll actually see we have wider lots here to have a more lower density single family neighborhood. The green areas and open spaces are the open spaces, and the blue is stormwater ponds. You can also see some conserved riparian areas within the project. I'll note the Woodleaf project also has a creek running along our boundary where that greenway corridor is going to go, and I think Pulte is building that as part of their project. We are seeking the RH district, but in this case, I think that the RH district is a little misleading with what we're actually proposing, because we're in a bit of a gap between the RM district and the RH district. And so this slide just shows a comparison of what's permitted in the RM district and what we're proposing in this RH district. And so within your RM, your medium residential district, you can do what's called a cluster development option. That calls for 40% of the site as open space. We couldn't quite get there with this project, but we do have a lot. We've got 33%. But as we continue down and we look at what the RM district allows, your base dimensional standards in the RM district without the cluster could get you up to 3 units per acre, or 5 if you had that 40% open space. And we're at 2.2. We fall below what the max allowance would be. Lot widths, again, your base RM district has an 80-foot single-family lot width, and if you get cluster, you can get narrower with 50, but we're at 75 at the larger end of that. And then lot size, again, your base district is 15,000, but with that cluster, you can get to 8, and we're above that 8 with 9,000 square feet. So we're larger in a lot of ways than what's allowed in your RM district, but we have to seek the RH district in this instance. What's really interesting is how we compare to that Woodleaf, now Broadmoor project to the west. You all may recall that that was originally, it was zoned and is zoned 2 districts. It has the RH district, which is just the townhomes. And then the single-family homes are in the RM district. However, all of their single-family lots are permitted to be smaller than what we're proposing here. And so I just included those dimensional standards to show that, again, although we're seeking a seemingly more intense district, our lots are much larger, where they have 4,900 and 6,100 square foot lots. We're again at 9,000. And so I don't say this to speak bad about the Pulte project. I worked on that and thought it was a good project, but I described these differences to show that this provides a good transition and a good compatible project from the more dense Pulte project as we transition out to the east with this project where we have much lower density single family homes, and where this project will then offer higher quality, nicer homes at a higher price point than what's offered in the Pulte project. Getting to our zoning conditions, again, I think this is what you would expect and what you'd hope for in a single family development. Our concept plan is not something we show and then we change later on. That is a commitment of the zoning, and staff holds us to what we show there. It's only single family homes. That dimensional, the max number of units is at 100. Architectural commitments, again, cover all the features that you'd like to see. We have a pollinator garden and other open space commitments with a 1 tot lot and 1 dog park for this community. Then the late breaking addition was that inclusion of a dedicated public park. And so we just zoom in here on this slide as to the location that we are offering to the town. So we were approached by Parks and Rec staff about considering a couple of areas within the site as future parkland. We would be willing to dedicate it. This was far and away the most usable, largest, best space of all of those. And so we were open to the idea, and we wanted to just give the town the opportunity to choose, right? So you don't have to make the decision tonight, but if it's determined that it's not the right size, 0.8 acres isn't worth the cost to accept it into the town, then this would just be open space. So we've offered what was asked, but it could revert back and be open space if the town decides for other reasons down the road that you're not interested in this land. You have that option and don't have the burden of having to maintain it. So with that, we have our full team here to answer any questions you may have, and we respectfully request that you vote to approve this project.
Any questions? Who all you have going to be part of your presentation?
Just me for the presentation. Everybody else is just here for questions.
Okay, okay. So, any questions at all? Okay, thanks. I'm going to now ask if there are any comments from the public in favor. And, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I can't tell.
I'm on both of those sheets. There's one other person.
Okay, yes, I see that. So is it anybody in the audience in favor that wants to have any comments in favor? This is your opportunity. Come on up if you do. Okay. I think we got one sign up for opposition, maybe. Edith Harrison, you want to come on? Yeah. Mike's yours. Thank you.
Thank Thank y'all, everyone. I'm Edith Harrison, and I live at 6816 Bobcat Lane, which is directly next door to the proposed subdivision. Mr. Paul, I appreciate your support of the project, but you spoke to senior citizens, and just out of curiosity, what age group do you consider that demographic? Where does it start?
Senior citizens, I think the generally accepted definition is over 55.
Okay. So you speak to this being an improvement for the quality of life. Y'all spoke to that about senior citizens. Well, with where this is landing on my property, it's actually going to be a detriment to my quality of life, because right now I have a vacant field beside me that brings in a breeze, it brings in nature, it brings in deer and rabbits and all kinds of things. So now, instead of wide open spaces, I'm going to be looking at fences and houses, and then breezes can't come through, you know, structures. We talked about improvements on Mitchell Mill. What about an improvement on Fowler Road? I mean, there's more than just a few houses on Fowler Road. For one, I go out to work on Mitchell Mill because I work at the credit union in Wendell, at the SECU on Wendell, across from the Sheets. And then I come home down Fowler Road. With the extent of the development of Broadmoor, you talk about what a great opportunity it's going to be for the residents of this development, but what benefit is it to me and my neighbors, because I'm not living in that subdivision, I'm not having access to Broadmoor, so how again is that going to enhance my quality of life if there are these two subdivisions right in my backyard and I'm not an owner or a resident of either of these neighborhoods, so therefore don't feel I would have any access to that. And if one of y'all could put up the map again, I just have a little bit of a question about that, because I kind of want to give y'all a perspective of where I lie on this. If you look on the map that shows the layout of it,
Who's controlling it?
I don't know yet. Modern technology. Okay, if you see the entrance going out to Fowler Road, and if you can zoom in just a little bit more, or maybe out just a hair. You see those three lots. The first lot is mine, the second lot is mine, and the third line is mine. One question I do have is that swatch of, I guess you're calling it green space, about how wide is that swatch? Do you have an idea about how wide that? It's kind of very hard to tell on a map. Is that going to be someone's backyard? Is that going to be undeveloped part of it, or?
Yeah, so Ms. Harrison, that is a 25-foot wide Type B buffer.
Okay.
So it's planted, it's vegetated, it provides screening,
Okay.
and it's preserved. It's not part of anyone's lots. In fact, the backyards would then have to be in addition to that.
In the brown space.
Yes.
Then my other question would be, you said that the 0.8 acres where you have it is the best location for, say, if the town decided that they wanted a nature park. I understand there's wetlands back there because my corner of my lot is unusable space, but why would something up in the front or maybe closer to the back end of my house not be as acceptable for open space in a park as where you have it currently?
I'm happy to answer that. So we were approached with 3 specific locations. That was one of them. The other ones were actually kind of the bottom left corner of the property, off the page right now.
Okay.
And so it's lower. There are little pieces, like there's a blue stormwater control measure with a little green space next to it, and then there's a little triangle right closer to the road behind that cul-de-sac. Yeah, right there. Those were the other 2 spaces that were asked to be considered, and so of the 3 spaces, we thought the one that we selected was far and away the best option and the most usable.
And would there be any possible option of the town or y'all reconsidering moving that to give me I feel like it's, it's me, but I go back to give a little history. I moved to the Rolesville area to Watkins Farm in 1989. So I've now been a resident well over 30-some years in this area. I moved to this property in I purchased it in 2004. I moved on to the property in 2006, and I built my home in the back lot in 2008. So from 2008 for the last few years to 2025, that's been my sanctuary, that's been my safe haven, that's been my just breathing area and all of that stuff. And my concern is, I do like the idea that you're not going to have like boom, boom, boom jammed onto the lot, because at first I was trying to figure out your math as to you're going to have 100 homes or 100 lots, if I understand correctly, right? Maximum 100 lots with a maximum of 2 homes, 2.2 or something around that neighborhood of homes, but not like 3 and 5, like with little bitty spaces. They'll be having an average of about how much acreage per house.
So, Ms. Harrison, you keep notes. If there's any questions, I'll bring you back up to answer. So we'll get back on quorum a little bit.
But anyway,
do you have anything you want to address with the board? I mean, that was the kind of the public.
right, and I mean, I understand you're trying to generate income for Rolesville. You're trying to develop Rolesville. I understand all of that, but you've got these massive subdivisions coming in. You've got right across the street from the high school. You've got all this development in downtown Rolesville. I know this doesn't affect Rolesville directly, but if you come down from Marks Creek Road on 64 all the way down Rolesville Road, there's 7 subdivisions going on. 7 on one stretch of road. And I have to go to work on that road every day, and I'm already hindered by all the dump trucks and heavy equipment. And I'm just very concerned about the project, although it sounds like a nice project, just the quality of the impact on the surrounding area and the nature, because we've got mice in our building at the credit union right now because of all the development going on across the street at the Sheets, at where they're going through to Wendell Falls. So I'm not a tree hugger by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm beginning to feel like I'm living in the real life version of the Lorax. Buzz, 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 piles of dead trees everywhere, vacant land, and then pop, 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 are all these homes going up. So that's my main concern, is the quality of life I've enjoyed all these years, and how that quality of life is going to change with so many homes coming in right next door to me.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison.
Thank
Appreciate
y'all
that.
for letting me speak, and thank you
Yeah.
for answering my questions so kindly.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else want to speak in office? Come up. State your name and your address for the record, if you don't mind. We all know you, but.
My name is Gail Stallings, and I reside at 1512 Rolesville Road, Wake Forest, Tennessee. I'm a lifetime resident of the community, and I'm here in opposition of the rezoning and annexation of 6520 Fowler Road and 6521 Mitchell Mill Road. And I ditto a lot of what you said. I appreciate that. We do not need any more development on this side of Rolesville right now. The projects that have been approved and under development, the line between the bypass and the intersection of Rolesville Road and Mitchell Mill Road, which is about a 3-mile stretch of highway. When it's built out, when it's all said and done, we're looking probably at approximately at least 10,000 people just on this 3-mile stretch of highway. And I just think that's a massive amount. I just think, you just need to kind of slow down and kind of think about these things. And I feel like the people that sit on the board, I'm not knocking you, and I know everybody's really busy, but I think a lot of times, what has happened in the past, you guys maybe haven't come out to these properties that you're voting on to actually see what it looks like. And I just think, that's an important thing, that you visit these properties that are being voted on. And I don't think, that you really understand how we feel, because we've been here our whole lives. And just, this explosive growth that we're seeing, and I doubt, I just think if you could come out and visit these properties, it would be really a good thing. I understand that the town wants to grow, you know, you want the revenue, I get it. I totally get that. However, I don't think we need all of this at once. I think it needs to be, slow down a little bit. And I, like other members of the community that are lifetime members, you know, we can see what's happening. And it's quickly bringing our serene life to an end. I chose to stay here because I cherish the quiet. I like to step out in the evening, feel the summer breeze. I like to hear the frogs, the crickets, hear the cicadas singing. You know, I love that. I just love the nature. And that's just becoming less and less. And I'm sure a lot of you are saying, you know, why is she standing up here saying this? Because, you know, we did. I caved in and signed the contract to sell our property. I regret it to this day. I cry every day about it. I'm not happy. It makes me very sad. And, you know, I just hope you all will consider before you approve any more development right now. It's just really going to be a hot mess if we continue to do all this with the traffic. And especially like she said, you know, I live on Rolesville Road. I see what's going on every day. And it is not getting any better. It's only just getting a little crazier every day. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Any follow-up from the staff before I close the public hearing?
No, no other information from staff, just here to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to the matter board. That means no more comments from the public, but they are allowed to answer any questions you have. So if you have a question you want somebody to answer, I will allow that. So, so I turn it over to the board for questions and discussion. Anybody got any questions?
I don't have a question, I have a statement. I think this is there are pros and cons to this project. There are pros because they are proposing the lowest density on that stretch of land that I think we could ask for from any of the developers today. And they have many of the density of 2.2, they have specific zoning conditions, and I have concerns of other developers that will come to us and what they could want to put on that property, which could be a whole lot more than the 2.2
Per acre.
per acre. Thank you so much. And because the land is currently zoned for 3 to 5. So somebody could come here before us with a development and put 5 acres per 5 units per acre on that land, and we would see a whole lot more traffic than we're seeing right now. So there are pros to this development. The cons, like I always say, is the traffic. So the traffic is not going to go away. The traffic is going to keep coming to Rolesville. But one thing that I could see as a benefit, I looked it over, I even asked Mr. Peach, the recommendations in here in the TIA traffic analysis that is required of the developer, correct? And he said yes. And the additional things he bought before us tonight. From the
DOT's input.
So that is a benefit because the road is being upgraded, for, I guess, lack of any better word. So it's a very hard call because it's the best use of the land with the lowest density, but we are still getting houses. We are still getting traffic. We're getting less traffic with 2.2 houses than we're gonna get with the 5 houses. So when we sit and we consider these projects, I think I speak for everybody, it's not easy. And there's a lot of things that we have to consider and ask questions on. And we can't make everybody happy. And we're trying to do what we think is best for Rolesville, given the land that we have. So again, there are pros and cons to this development, I see. I do think it is the best use for the land, but it's not helping our traffic. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, April. Appreciate that. Good comments. What about other board members? Anybody else want to chime in?
I'll chime in on top of what Commissioner Sneed has said, and I agree with you. This is, to Ms. Harrison's point, it is a development. The density is much less than it could be, less than half of what it could be. So I'm hoping that there's enough space between the houses that it won't take away all your afternoon breeze. And you know, it's development. It is taking away trees. It's taking away some of the nature that you've enjoyed for sounds like 17 years or so. Anyway, can we stop it? No. Someone's going to build it. Someone's going to buy the land, and someone's going to build it. So I agree with Commissioner Sneed that this is better than many projects. And I just ask my fellow commissioners to support our push to try and get Rolesville Road expanded to, and I'm guessing it'd be a 5-lane road, you know, 2 lanes each way with a center turn lane or something of that nature to help improve the traffic, because it is a problem, and we have a lot of homes there. As Ms. Stallings said, it's, you know, 10,000 people or whatever, so it will be a lot of people on that stretch of road. We don't have a ton of land where it can be developed in our town, and, you know, that's, people want to live here. It's a nice town. We have a great community, and we're not going to stop that. So we try to, as commissioners here, we're trying to do the best we can. And like, that's why I said I like this project, because of the low density, the larger lot sizes, the larger open area that is included in this development. So, you know, we're trying to do the best we can, and nothing's perfect, and not everyone's going to be happy about it. But I think, all in all, this is a good project for our town.
Any other discussion? Any other questions? No. Any questions for Michael? For Mike? Any questions for Mike? Okay. Then with that, I closed the public hearing already, didn't I?
Yep.
So with that, I will ask the board for a consideration, and if you would make that in a motion.
I move to approve rezoning REZ 2404, 6520 Mitchell Road, 6521 Fowler Road.
Okay, so we do have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
Who did that? Okay, so I hear a motion and a second. Will there be any other discussion? You okay? Yeah. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
Okay. My count was 4-1. Is that right?
4-1.
With Commissioner Austin, no. Okay, set approved. I think we have to have a consistency statement. So I hear a motion for that.
Let's see, we have an annexation. I move to approve the voluntary annexation petition received under GS 160A-31 for Annex 2501, 6520 Mitchell Mill Road, 6521 Fowler Road.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Got that, clerk?
And then you still have your consistency statement.
And so what, Dave?
You still would have the consistency statement to do following a rezoning.
Second bullet.
There's 2 motions on the zoning case.
Okay.
No.
Are we covered?
So I move to adopt a plan consistency statement and statement of reasonableness for REZ 2404. Sorry about that.
Okay. Is there a second on that? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you very much, board.
Welcome, sir.
So we don't need a separate public hearing for since he made the motion, we got to have a
You do
public
not.
hearing for the annexation? Or-
Nope.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And we will move on to our final New business, which is legislative hearing TA, which this is a text amendment, TA 2505, multifamily building transparency requirements. And I see Mike is back up on that, so I will open the public hearing and take a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I get into this, the applicant is here this evening, and I do believe that they have a handout to hand you, so after my presentation, at your leisure, you can ask them to come on up. This is a text amendment brought forth by an applicant, so an applicant-initiated text amendment to amend the land development ordinance in the sections on the screen there, 3.4.1, 3.4.2, 3.4.3, and 6.8.6. G. This all deals with multifamily buildings transparency requirements. And transparency is basically the glass or the see-through areas, so the non-opaque areas of a building. So again, the zoning-specific use of dwelling multifamily is one that is permitted in the following zoning districts: the RH, high-density residential, the TC, town center zoning district, the AC, activity center, and the neighborhood center, NC. Those last three are the town's mixed-use zoning districts, the three of those that are there. And I've already gone through these bulleted items here. The LDO sections that would be affected, 6.8.6. G is the transparency requirements specifically for the type of building of multifamily. The LDO breaks out regular, normal, commercial, or type of office buildings from different standards. Multifamily gets its own treatment in design standards. Then table 3.4.1, 3.4.2, and 3.4.3, these represent those three mixed-use zoning districts where, again, in their design standards, there is a specific transparency requirement. So all four of these sections need to be amended through this proposed text amendment to cover the fact that someone could develop multifamily buildings in the three mixed-use zoning districts, which would be controlled by 3.4.1, 3.4.3, or 3.4.3, or if they develop multifamily buildings in the RH district, that would be regulated under section 6.8.6. G. So this seeks to modify and reduce the transparency requirements for the multifamily building type and only that building type. So this does not affect mixed-use buildings, straight commercial or office buildings, for instance, or any other type of non-residential building, just multifamily standalone buildings. Reducing that number to 25% of transparency, and it's transparency is only required along public road frontages, essentially. So really, this is not every facing wall of the building, but just those that face public streets as well. So it's not in the entire building, but just those faces of a building that face a public street. This slide kind of goes into the minutia of each section, what the standard is. In the RH zoning district, for instance, the current standard would be 30% of transparency. The request is to lower that to 25%. And then in those three mixed-use districts, the TC, the AC, the NC, the first floors are treated differently than all the upper story floors. The current standard is 40%, and the applicant seeks to reduce that to 25%. And then on any of those upper story floors, the standard is 35% transparency or see-through glass area, and the applicant again seeks to go to 25%. So the applicant is ready here to do a presentation. They have some handouts to exhibit, and in the packet is their blue and underlined and red strike through language. So you can see exactly what words and where will be changed through this text amendment. It's a voluminous piece of document, but really they're changing a few words here and there, so it looks more than it really is. It's really just a handful of words being struck through, but they're very critical words and percentages. So I'll leave that right there. Mr. Williams, would you like to come on up?
Any questions before we do that? Any questions for Mike?
I do, sir. Mike, is this text amendment only for this project, or will it affect the future?
A text amendment is to the entire land development ordinance for any project that comes after the date of adoption of that ordinance. So while this is applicant initiated, this applicant will explain their reasons for being the initiator of this. It would apply to any multifamily building that comes after today.
Okay.
Comes before you either for a rezoning that allows it, or even a property out there that has zoning today that allows multifamily buildings. they could utilize this text amendment tomorrow.
Okay. And you just answered my second question.
Me? Yeah.
So I guess, Mike,
Yeah.
that's cool.
How long have these current percentages been in place?
Since the original adoption of the LDO 4 years ago.
Have we had any buildings built consistent with these standards?
No.
Do you know if these standards are consistent with any other municipalities in Wake County or around us?
The applicant has data on that. That's what
Okay. All right.
which staff
So,
has reviewed and has no contest to.
so we have no buildings that have been built according to these standards?
Not
That you're aware of?
Not exactly. Of course, the main multifamily building that's of recent build is the Cobblestone. That was developed under a town center zoning district, but it was technically under the UDO, and this is the LDO. So there is a slight difference there. But if you wanted to look at a building, sorry, I'm thinking about the buildings.
Sure,
I don't
sure.
believe any of those buildings really trigger this standard, because recall, the standards are when they face a
Face
public
the road.
street. And if you think about Cobblestone, they have mixed-use buildings on the exterior against Main and Young Street. I don't believe any of the facades or faces of the buildings would really have triggered this standard anyway. That's why it's not a comparative, and we went over this at the planning board, that that project is not a good comparative to this text amendment, being what could I see on the ground today that is these numbers, and then consider what the reduction of the numbers might be according to the applicant's illustratives that they're going to show you.
So last question for you. And I get it, because first floor at Cobblestone are primarily retail, commercial.
These buildings, absolutely.
And would the upper floors have to be compliant with what we had?
No. So
Didn't apply?
The standard is only to standalone 100% multifamily buildings.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, not mixed-use buildings.
All right, thank you very much.
Any anybody else have a question? So Mike, I know you weren't here when this was written, I think it was
Correct.
prior to
You
you.
came a few months later.
So, why do we do that? Why do we make that in this UDO? Why do
That
we
is an answer I really can't 100% tell you the answer. The standards seem to be more akin to non-residential. Those higher percentages of transparency are what you see in non-residential buildings, where you want transparency. You want that window shopping type, feel and so forth. And again, the applicant's got the data and the reasonings as to why it just doesn't play very well with multifamily buildings when you're talking about creating bedrooms and private spaces in a dwelling unit, et cetera. To have that much transparency is kind of a fishbowl, especially on a first floor. But that's where the applicant has the reasonings, the data, the statistics, the comparison to other communities, et cetera, as to why the LDO numbers are a little bit askew of what either the market bears or what other communities would require. Again, we're talking about a standalone multifamily building.
So it's really the way it's written, 40%, that means 40% of it has to be glass.
Correct. So if you think about whatever the width of whatever the width of an apartment building on the outside of the building facing a public road, 40% of that would have to be glass. And again, the applicant will detail how that's a little out of the norm. So for all of those reasons, staff is not opposed to this. And I think if staff had seen a project that could comply with these standards, there would be a little bit of skepticism as to why. But we haven't seen a building build according to these standards 100% under the LDO. So we haven't seen it pulled off or come to fruition to make that comparison.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Michael.
Welcome, Austin, come up. I think the board is waiting to hear something from you. You've been sitting here patiently for quite a while now, so appreciate you waiting. Do you plan to go back home tonight?
Oh, yes. Excuse me?
You plan to go back home tonight?
I am. I'll lay my head in Wilmington before it's all over. So this handout, this is just a couple images of buildings that are right at the 25% transparency. Sorry, to make it official, I'll introduce myself. My name's Austin Williams with Crosland Southeast. I'm the principal in charge of the Walbrook mixed-use commercial project, and glad to see all these familiar faces this evening. So thank you, Mayor and Council persons. The images that were passed out are two projects. I selected these because these are two that our development manager, who would be in charge of future multifamily development at Walbrook, should we be approved in future. She developed these personally in North and South Carolina, and I just thought they were good representations of mix of materials and 25% minimum transparency. Before speaking further to the transparency, this relates to a comment that Mr. Ellebarger made. We have made an application for rezoning for a project that we call Walbrook Flats, the project formerly known as Arden, which is the 10-acre parcel owned by the Duke family and across from a proposed Wake Med future medical complex. That is slated to go in front of the planning board the end of August, so we'll be there this month. And we thought it would be prudent to separate this text amendment from that rezoning to just get ahead of it. And our initiative to come in here and ask for a reduction in transparency was one that we felt like we could do unabashedly based on our experience in other municipalities, because the requirements for 35 and up to 40% of transparency in the LDO, it just really sticks out as essentially unachievable for certainly suburban and in most cases urban multifamily. So it's a bit of a head scratcher to understand where that came from. So to reiterate what Mr. Ellebarger said, transparency means a window or a doorway. And in order to have a window or a doorway in a building, in particular a multifamily building that typically is a wood frame structure, you're essentially eliminating structural areas. So there are meaningful cost considerations to create bigger voids. But just from a privacy, and I think at some point your transparency gets to be so great that I think the intent of transparency in most prevailing zoning ordinances is related to diversity of materials. And the LDO does have lots of requirements for changes of materials, changing of planes, minimizing blank walls. And so I think having these high transparency requirements it really stuck out as something that seemed abnormal. Our first question was the same one that was answered tonight, which was, has anybody built to that? Because we'd love to see it. And the answer was that Cobblestone essentially did not have to meet these criteria based on how it was approved. Having said that, a number of the facades that we've observed and just taken pictures of and done some measurements at Cobblestone do seem to have transparency calculations that are in the ballpark of 25%. I think you can probably look at those pictures on the handout and see some similarities. There are some building edges that are back from the road and ends of buildings that you see from the roadways that don't appear to meet 25%. I think depending on our final layout for the zoning project, it would probably be up to staff to outline, okay, which building edges need to be 25%. Our intent would be that most of them, including the internal ones, would kind of follow the rhythm of the design of the outside. So it's not a situation where it's 25 on the outside and then it's 10 on the inside like a barracks. That's certainly not our intent. And, our future customers and tenants, should we get that far, all enjoy certain amounts of natural daylight, which we must meet in order to justify a good return on our investment. In regards to neighboring municipalities, Raleigh and Cary in particular, as noted in our memo, their most restrictive their most restrictive requirements for transparency in any district does not exceed 20%. So our request to take all of the pure multifamily buildings, regardless of whether they're in a mixed-use zone or mixed-use district or a high-density multifamily district, to 25%, we believe very much brings the LDO to a level that's attainable for developers, but still exceeds Raleigh and Cary. And to the extent that transparency is important to Rolesville, we assume it was important to somebody or it wouldn't have been approved the way it was presented. It does put it at a very high level, requires a very high aesthetic. We don't think that this in any way dumbs down the opportunity for, people to get away with any sort of poor aesthetic in the multifamily development world. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
What's the transparency of the townhomes that you built over there?
I don't know.
Greater than 25%?
No, I would doubt it. I mean, the nature of that single-family development, with roof lines that come down garages and stoops. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm really not sure. I don't think it's 25%. I think that the nature of that type of structure relative to a multifamily where you have smaller units with more residents is going to have more transparency in general.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Austin. Appreciate it. And we may ask a question later, so thank you very much. Any follow-up, Mike or board have any follow-up questions for the
No,
staff?
I don't think so. Just one thing struck my mind. A lot of apartment complexes have very few buildings that might be fronting on a public street or immediately adjacent because of the nature of either the tract of land they're developing on. They might be second-tier buildings. Most of the buildings might be behind other buildings, so they would be completely exempt from this rule. One thing in the building industry could be if I have to design this side of my building to a 40% transparency, and then the back side I'm only governed by fire code for window access and or just the natural light illumination that we want to do, et cetera. So you would be building a building with two different faces on the other side of the building, which could run into different forms of construction costs and stuff. That building would cost more than maybe another building. So just some of the practical things to have this standard, affect certain facades of certain buildings, but not all the other facades, and certainly some other buildings would be 100% exempt from it. Kind of raises the question as to why these numbers were rather high. So I just bring that up as another point. The comparison to townhomes is what their transparency. That's an interesting question. Internal townhome units only have windows on the front and the back, right? So for light penetration into all the rooms and so forth, I think they would tend to have a lot of windows and a lot of natural light areas. I think a qualifying bedroom has to have a window. So you can't have a bedroom in the interior of one of those townhomes that doesn't have, and same with multifamily apartments, they must have a window. You can't create a windowless dwelling unit. So the comparative factor to a townhome, and if the numbers did come out less than 25%, I don't know if that would be a support for this request, or if a townhome comes in at 40%, if that would be a reason to say the LDO is thinking akin to that, at least on, again, the faces that face public streets, not the interior walls and interior buildings, though.
I believe you said that the planning department was not opposed to this change. Is it in favor of this change?
Clearly, this was not on the town staff's radar for
Sure.
a needed fix.
I get
This had not
that.
come to the planning department from the board that this was a needed fix. This was the industry telling the town, this one's a little askew. This one doesn't match all the other towns. This could be artificially stumping the use. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just the nature. This is why this one's come up. Austin was very transparent as to his interest in Rolesville and where he's trying to develop and what he's trying to develop in the near future. So yes, this would likely help his project. I don't know if it would not help his project if it was denied, but it's certainly something that would be viewed as potential. The staff recommendation does speak to, sorry, I can go to my next slide. We do feel that it could foster and create an increase in housing diversity. So again, if this allows multifamily to maybe make dollars and cents in Rolesville, that would meet some of the key policies of the comprehensive plan, the brand new affordable housing plan that's coming out, et cetera, to have more housing diversity. So this would only foster that as opposed to potentially be a detriment to this. So, and I think the industry is saying this is a bit of a detriment as a more onerous standard for transparency.
So how does this balance with our current comp plan?
Well, the comprehensive plan speaks to things like creating a diversity of housing options,
Yes, sir.
you know, detached, attached, multifamily, et cetera. So if this makes multifamily housing more developable in this town, that would be working towards that goal. So that's where staff is making that connection.
Again, this was supposed to be for the homes that are facing the road, though, correct?
Only buildings facing the road have this transparency minimum requirement, yes.
And so that would impact other housing developments. How? I guess that's
Only
not connected.
multifamily buildings. And only 100% multifamily buildings, not mixed-use buildings like the buildings at Cobblestone on the front facing there, where business on the front. Those buildings are not even in this conversation. Standalone apartment complex, think of it that way. The buildings that face a public street have this transparency requirement.
And you mentioned that this was brought to you by a developer, and I'm assuming you've done research on other municipalities where they have made these changes in regards to this transparency, correct?
Not changes, but have as
Or amendments.
as standards.
Yes.
Exactly. Mr. Williams brought forth that data, and we've looked at that too. And again, don't contest his research.
And they have the lower transparency than the 25% being proposed.
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
20%.
Williams.
Yeah.
Which municipalities was that? Has it been done recently?
Possibly. Speak again to
My specific examples, and did not do an exhaustive study because we didn't think it was necessary. We know that 25% is the maximum that we've seen across development in multiple states. But our quick points of reference were Raleigh and Cary, which have very mature zoning ordinances that have been developed under that their maximum transparency requirement, their minimum transparency requirement was 20%, whereas this minimum transparency requirement that we're suggesting be lowered down to 25% in Rolesville, which is 5% higher or 25% higher, frankly, than 20%. That extra 5% is a 25% increase above what Cary and Raleigh require in their most restrictive districts.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Sneed, your question about townhomes stumped me just because I'd never thought about that before. I think, frankly, that transparency requirements, that, by the way, was approved under the UDO and developed under the UDO, not the LDO. But transparency does include doors. So I've never seen a transparency requirement applied to a townhome or a single-family home. But if a garage is a door, then absolutely on the public-facing street.
And this potentially will bring more developers, could increase the interest of more developers in bringing multifamily to Rolesville if this is passed.
I'd love to answer that question. So I can only speak to our perspective. We believe that to the extent that the town stands to approve any market rate multifamily in town, that 25% would be considered a high bar for us and any future developers that come in at 25% transparency. So we think leaving it higher is a good way to say no to multifamily. Not, just saying to the extent that was the intent, we think that it's generally prohibitive, challenging, and would make development of multifamily very difficult. So yeah, we don't feel like we're in here to dumb down the standards to create I mean, it's tough to get any multifamily done, and I guess by merit of that fact, we're working on a project that died and went back to the sellers because it didn't achieve financing. And so that's the project that really got us focused on the LDO and on this issue. But the transparency specifically is a higher standard that would be required for a similar project down the road in Raleigh. So I don't think it opens the floodgates.
Thank you. Any other questions on the board?
Just one final question, and then I won't ask any more.
All right.
By chance, did you look at the apartments that we already have here in Rolesville?
To measure the
Just to take a
transparency?
look and say, that's probably X%. And I know they've been here for, how long have they been here?
Long time.
Long time.
Probably 20 years,
Okay,
maybe.
then you don't even need to ask it.
Yeah.
You're good.
Probably 15
We
years.
specifically took a picture of some primary facades of Cornerstone and did some calculations to make sure that we didn't miss something, that they were at 40%. And of course, mixed-use buildings that have commercial on the bottom floor, this would not reduce the transparency of those, but looking at the upper floors of cobblestone, we came up with in the ballpark of 25%. That was the only one we looked at, yeah.
I was referring to the apartments that are in Rolesville, not cobblestone.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, sorry, I didn't clarify that, but okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll call for a consideration. Open it up for the board.
I move to approve TA 2505 multifamily building transparency requirements.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second.
That was me.
Is there any other discussion from the board? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Sounds like the ayes have it. They do have it, so motion approved. Thank you.
I also need to make a motion to adopt a statement of consistency and reasonableness because TA 2505 is consistent with Rolesville's comprehensive plan and is therefore reasonable.
Second.
Is there a discussion of that? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Safe trip back. Always nice to get home at a reasonable time, so hopefully will. Thank you. That's right. That's right. All right, I don't have anything else on the agenda, so I'll turn it over to the attorney if he got a report.
Thank you, Mayor. Two things. The first is House Bill 173 was adopted by the General Assembly on June 30th. This was one that I know some of you were monitoring and hoping did not pass, but it does impose a 3.5-year moratorium in Wake County on the expansion of extraterritorial jurisdiction. And that is only for Wake County. Unfortunately, that bill also targeted Asheville and Taylortown. So while we were not, Rolesville was not the target of that bill, some of our other communities in Wake County were. We were swept up in it, and Taylortown and Asheville are certainly unpopular at the General Assembly. The other item is that we have a proposed closed session. At our work session, the board had forecast that we would go back into closed session this evening for a personnel matter.
Okay, thank you. Town manager, anything to report?
Yes, just want to give a quick update on, let you all know that, so I've been, over the last 2 weeks, I've had meetings with I wanted Malcolm from the chamber to come and introduce himself. Been working with him and his team on getting answers to the different questions you had offered up. And so I was waiting for the ink to dry on their agreement, and it happened on Friday of last week. And so now I'll formally communicate out with y'all with an email with kind of like a frequently asked questions with some of the questions you all have posed to us that kind of relate to the MOU and the state of the chamber. In general, myself and Michael are encouraged by the conversations we've been having with them. Even though Malcolm has been appointed, his team has been appointed, and so it brings a lot more resources to the table that the chamber can leverage when it comes to executing what they have on their plan for this year, and also on a level setting and position themselves to be able to thrive in the immediate future as well. So I'll work to get that information to you all. He's open to coming back to have any conversations that you all need to have regarding the MOU. And I'll also be bringing them before you. Was educating them on the process of getting that permit for the event. And so that'll be on the consent agenda for the next work session. The other thing I wanted to bring up is just give you a quick update on the Main Street project. Tomorrow, the Duke Energy will be mobilizing, and it only take them a day to remove the poles. So weather permitting, the poles will be removed. And that's something that we had initially, in the plan that Fred Smith had provided us, would have been happening closer to the teens of the days of this month. But thanks to Duke Energy, and they are mobilizing the day essentially within 3 days, and something that would take multiple, usually takes a few days, so we're getting it done in one. So the plan will be for those poles to be removed by the end of the day tomorrow. Again, weather permitting, and Fred Smith will go behind them and backfill those and pave that side. And so by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, we'll see the work to start moving the alignment of the temporary one-way road over onto the new asphalt. And then they'll start working on the East Young side of the intersection unobstructed. And so we're looking forward to that. We lost some time with Brightspeed, but thanks to Duke Energy and them being a partner with us, we've kind of gained all that time back in the schedule. And so we don't have any concerns with regards to any other locates. The gas locations are complete, and other things that I highlighted in the email with you all, they're all complete. And so this essentially kind of clears the way. So we're happy about that. And the meeting that we had this morning with Fred Smith, they said they're on track to continue to hit that open by the end of September deadline. And so we're very encouraged by that and the progress we're being able to see with that. We're asking our community members who drive through to continue to be patient. There have been some people who have run the red light run the red light, and within the construction zone, but you know, it's concrete barriers on either side. You end up having to back up several cars for people to get out. So we're asking everyone to be attentive and to drive with caution, and please obey those signals. And we're looking forward to seeing the intersection open and moving on to the next things.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have an exact date of next week when they're going to do the lane shift in.
And so they're paving, and they said that it will be either Tuesday or Wednesday.
That they'll do a lane shift, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Because we probably need to communicate that.
We will.
Maybe a day or two ahead.
Yeah, we will.
Because
Mm-hmm.
they're going to move everything over to the other side.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else, Eric?
Nope, those are the major things as far as updates. I'll be sending out an update, like updates from the manager with y'all. Now that I have this information, I missed it last week. Somehow I got hung up when we had an internet outage in my outbox, and so I'll get that to y'all this week.
Good. Anything else? That's it. What about the board? Anything from the board? Anybody got any comments from the board? I think it was a good shout out for the police tonight. So now I want to do a little shout out too. I don't know what night it was, but it was past weekend. I guess it was. It was all over social media where we had a one-way sign that a bolt fell out of it, and it switched and was pointing the opposite way in a one-way. It's supposed to go one way, but it's pointing the other way, which most people in the community thought was funny. But I didn't think it was funny, and the chief and them, they fixed that because it could be an accident. It could cause an accident, pointing the wrong way. And I think you said the bolt just was too short or something.
It was like 3 bolts, and then the very top one that was on the sign on was a lot shorter than the other 2, so over time it just backed out. So when it did, the sign swung around and put the wrong direction. Officers were able to respond. They fixed it pretty quickly.
That's a big shout out. And, I didn't recognize who was actually fixing it, but, Huh?
One of our newest
That's great. That's great. We'll get them something, maybe lunch or something. We appreciate you doing that. I don't know, I just felt like it was a safety hazard, really. You know, one way you pointing the wrong way. So appreciate you guys reaching out and fixing it for sure. Anything else?
Yes,
Well-
Mr. Mayor, I just want to, again, reiterate, and thank you for that question. I want to reiterate the celebration with PD on this Saturday from 9 a.m. to, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Please adhere to all traffic lights, but please also get there early because we will be supplying hot dogs, and this is for us to get to know our citizens. And citizens, please come out and show some love to our civil servants and also, most importantly, our Rolesville Police Department. Thank you.
I didn't hear the location. It's Chili
That would be at Chili King. I think I'm able to share that this is going to be his last day open, unfortunately. So we want to celebrate his business as well.
Right.
He's really opening up for us to enjoy this event together. So let's come out and show that business that was part of our community some love, as well as with our PD. So again, there will be 50 hot dogs that'll be sponsored by the town and by the police department. Please don't come out to eat just the hot dogs. Come out and talk, but they are there for you to come out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. That's a good call, so thank you guys for doing that. Lastly, it's not on the agenda, but I think the attorney said we need to entertain a motion for executive session, so.
I move that the board go into a closed session to discuss a confidential personnel matter pursuant to Chapter 143, Section 318.11A6 of the North Carolina General Statutes.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. So we will recess in the closed session and we will come back in the open afterwards. So thank you very much.
Paul?
Everybody can turn your mics on if you want to. Just let me know when it's live.
I second thanking you all for doing your homework, so we're not here all night long. Get that in there real quick.
Well, third, fourth, and fifth. Reading is fundamental.
We went to a quarter time. We went out of here before 11, 11:30.
I remember, pushing midnight.
If Mike Paul can get his back.
Synergy, guys. But I have yawned a few times. It's been a long day.
Coming off a closed session, so.
We don't have to do it then.
Thank God.
It's still on, it's still
What we doing now?
on, it's still showing it online, though. That's all you have to do is turn it back.
I don't think you guys have the motion and second come out of closed session.
No, we'll get that.
You got
Did you figure out how to do it? Okay. I do have to have a motion to come out of closed session, so,
So move.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, appreciate it. Okay, we're coming out of closed session. We had a brief time where we met. It's kind of hard to believe a year has gone by, almost a year has gone by. It just goes by so quickly, but it's been approximately a year ago when we hired our town manager, Eric Marsh, and it's been a lot of water over the dam in the last 12 months for sure. And he has really, I have to say, he's really hit the ground running, done a great job. Appreciate all the hard work you've done. And we want to keep you, and we want you to continue to work for us, and that's kind of what the decision we had with the board. So, so to make it briefly, I think a board member may have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion. I have a motion to adopt the first amended and restated employee agreement of town manager Eric Marsh.
Okay, got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion?
No, sir.
Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Sounds like the ayes have it. The ayes do have it, so the motion approved. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Any comments you want to make for the public?
No, it's just, I'm thankful. It's a joy to be here. I love this community. I love the progress we have been able to make, and it's been a joy and a privilege to serve and to be able to continue to serve along the wall and serve our residents and keep building those relationships that are going to help us keep, you said water over the dam.
Yeah.
You want to get the water that needs to go over and then keep the water from going over that shouldn't be going over.
Right.
And so, yeah, but thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
Yeah, and Eric, he mentioned community, and he does a really great job of being part of the community, and I think that's important. I think the citizens look like that. He loves the Rams. So
Love the Rams.
He loves the Rams, so I hope they do good
Somebody
this year.
asked me if I was a coach. I wore a baseball. I have one of the baseball T-shirts to the gym. They said, "Are you a coach?" I said, "Never played baseball a day in my life outside the backyard." But
Yeah.
yes.
But you like the round parallels.
Yep.
So, I just really appreciate you. And all things that Eric has demonstrated in the last 12 months, that he just enjoys being part of the community and doing things with the community. I want to thank you for that. Great job. Any comments from the board?
Happy to have you, Eric.
I think Mr. Edens said it earlier. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for all
sir.
the hard work, hitting the ground running, never giving up.
That's right.
We know it hasn't been easy, but
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you didn't give up.
Not giving up. That's one thing I have to worry about out of me is giving up.
I didn't give up, but thank you. Appreciate that. So any other things from the board, right quick? Is that it? Just remember the 9/11 event. I think we're trying to put together on 9/11. So that the meeting and greeting thing at Chili King's. That'd be a great event. And what's the time? 10 to
It's this Saturday again from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
11 to 1.
That's correct.
So, come out to Chili King's, get you a hot dog. They got some really good food out there. They used to do fish. I don't know if they do fish on Saturday or not. I think that's a Friday thing, but they really do a good job out there. So, so see everybody out there. Have a good August. It's going to get hotter, but it's been, last few days have been good. So thanks, everybody, for joining. And so we're going to, without opposition, we're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
9:30, that's beautiful.
Yeah.